At my father's retirement dinner, I watched him give a toast thanking everyone who made this possible, pointedly staring past me. When I tried to hug him, he patted my head like a child and said, "Better luck next lifetime." Everyone laughed. A year later, when he needed a caretaker, I was suddenly the only one he could trust. My dad always said he was a self-made man. He wore that line like a badge of honor. What he never said, what nobody at that fancy retirement dinner knew, was that he didn't do it alone. He stepped on people to get there. One of those people was me. I was 8 when my mom died of breast cancer. I don't remember much from that time, but I remember Dad wasn't around much. He said he was working hard to give us a better life. We lived in a small 2-bedroom in Marietta, Georgia. He worked late. I ate dinner alone most nights. I'd fall asleep on the couch watching TV and wake up in my bed, never sure how I got there. By the time I was a teenager, I'd learned not to expect much from him. He showed up when it was convenient. Missed birthdays, skipped school plays. When he met Clara, everything changed for him. She came with money. Not much, but enough. She also had 2 boys from a previous marriage, Tyler and Drew. They were the golden ones. Dad fell into that role fast. Family pictures at the beach. Baseball games. He coached Tyler's team one summer. When I asked why he never came to my art show, he said, "That kind of thing isn't really my style." By the time I turned 18, I was living mostly with my grandma. He helped with some bills but never visited. When I told him I got into Georgia State, he said, "Good for you. Just don't expect me to pay for it. I've got a whole new family to take care of now." I worked 2 jobs and still graduated. He didn't come to the ceremony. Years passed. I got married young. He didn't come to the wedding, just sent a card with $50 and a joke about starter husbands. When I divorced 5 years later, I didn't even bother telling him. He wouldn't have cared. So when I got the invite to his retirement dinner last year, I wasn't sure if I should go. It was Clara's idea, I think. She always played nice, fake smiles and, "You should visit more." I didn't want to be there, but I went anyway. Deep down, I hoped maybe he'd changed. The dinner was at this high-end steakhouse in downtown Atlanta. The kind of place with valet parking and dim lighting and wine you can't pronounce. I walked in alone. No one greeted me. I found my seat at the far end of a long table. There were maybe 30 people there. His co-workers, golf buddies, Clara's book club friends, and of course, Tyler and Drew. They wore designer suits and acted like they owned the place. One of them asked me if I was the help. I ignored him. Dad stood up for his big toast. Everyone got quiet. He looked proud. I sat there, waiting. Maybe he'd say something nice about me. Maybe he'd mention how far I'd come. I thought, this is my moment. To everyone who made this possible, he said, raising his glass. Thank you. I couldn't have done this without your support. He looked at Clara. She smiled. Then he nodded to his colleagues. Made a joke about his assistant keeping him sane. He looked over at Tyler and Drew, "My boys," he said proudly. They beamed. Then he glanced in my direction. Not at me. Right past me. Like I wasn't even there. And then, for the first time, he looked me right in the eyes. I stood up, nervous, smiling like an idiot. I walked over to him, arms open for a hug. He laughed. He patted me on the head like a child. "Better luck next lifetime, kiddo." Everyone laughed with him. Not at the joke at me. I stood there frozen. My face burned. I smiled, because that's what I'd always done. But inside, something snapped. I didn't talk to him after that. I went no contact. He didn't call. He didn't check in. I figured that was the end of it. Until about 11 months later. Clara called me, out of the blue. Her voice was tight. He had a stroke, she said. He's okay. But he's not, himself. She asked if I could come visit. I said I was busy. She didn't push. A few days later, Tyler called. I hadn't heard from him in years. He sounded desperate. We don't know what to do. He's refusing care. Keeps asking for you. Says you're the only one he can trust. I almost laughed. Really? Now he needed me? I waited 2 more days. Then I went. The man who used to tower over me was now in a hospital bed, thinner than I remembered. His face drooped slightly on one side. He looked up at me like I was the answer to something. Hey, sweetheart, he slurred. I didn't speak. I just stared at him. They want to put me in a home, he said slowly. I can't let them do that. I need someone I trust. Someone who knows me. I stayed quiet. You're the only one, he said. Please. The nurse came in. She told me he'd need round-the-clock care. Rehab. Physical therapy. Help with meals, meds, bathing. They had money, but not enough for a full-time nurse. Family's cheaper, she said. More personal, too. I said I'd think about it. The next day, I said yes. The first week I moved into his house, it felt like I was walking through a museum of everything he never gave me. The place was huge, 5 bedrooms, marble counters, a grand piano no one played. Clara had left for space, according to Tyler. She moved into a condo in Buckhead. Said she couldn't watch him like that. I didn't blame her. Tyler and Drew came around for the first few days, acting like they cared. But once I started handling the meds, the appointments, the meals, they backed off real fast. Within a week, they stopped showing up. Texted every now and then. Let us know if anything urgent comes up. They were done. So it was just me and him. He couldn't walk on his own. Couldn't use the bathroom without help. He mumbled through sentences and needed everything repeated twice. And yet, he remembered the toast. You were mad, he said one night while I helped him into bed. That night. Yeah, I said. I was. He nodded, like he was thinking about it, then said, You've always been sensitive. I almost slapped him. Instead, I smiled. Get some rest, Dad. That became our routine. I fed him. Cleaned him. Helped him dress. Scheduled his therapy. Took his crap. And every day, I kept a mental list of every time he ever made me feel small. 2 weeks in, I started moving things around the house. Just little things. His framed photos with Tyler and Drew. Gone from the hallway. Replaced with photos of me and my mom. His golf trophies. Packed in boxes. I cleared out his office and set it up as a guest room for me. He asked once, Where are my things? I told him, in storage. We needed the space. Then I locked the door to the garage and kept the key. By the 3rd week, I was managing all his bank accounts. Clara had added me as co-signer for convenience. He didn't argue. Said he trusted me. Amazing what being helpless does to a man like that. He started asking me to read to him. I picked books he hated. He asked for the news. I read stories about abuse victims finding justice. I wanted him to sit in it. To feel it. One night, he asked, Why are you doing all this for me? I paused, then said, Because I'm a good daughter. He smiled. But I wasn't done. By the 2nd month, I stopped letting him see who was calling. I screened every call. I changed the house phone's voicemail to my voice. I turned down visits. I told everyone he was adjusting and still recovering. I kept him isolated. I moved some of his money. Not a lot. Just enough to open an account in my name. Set it aside. He'd signed the papers without reading them. Trusted me, remember? Then I started recording him. When he got confused, when he lashed out, when he cried and begged. I kept those files in a folder labeled insurance. Just in case. The real turning point came when I found the letter. It was in a locked drawer in his old office. I'd found the key taped under his desk. It was from my mother. Handwritten. Faded. It said, "If anything ever happens to me, please let her stay with my mom. Don't marry Clara. She's not kind to children." There it was. Proof he knew. Proof he didn't care. I sat there shaking, the letter in my hand, while he called my name from the next room. That night, I gave him his meds an hour late. He had a panic attack. I stood in the doorway, watching him shake, then finally called 911. At the hospital, they told me he'd be okay. Just stress. Just age. Tyler and Drew showed up for 10 minutes. Asked how he was. I told them he needed to go home. They shrugged. Said, "That's your call." So I brought him home. And I made a new plan. After he came back from the hospital, something in him had changed. He was quieter. Started watching me more closely. Asked more questions. Where was Clara? Why weren't Tyler and Drew visiting? What happened to his old phone? I played dumb. Smiled a lot. Said people were busy, life was hard. But I knew he was catching on. Then, one afternoon, while I was doing laundry, I heard him moving around. I found him halfway down the hall, leaning on the wall, sweating like hell. He'd gotten out of bed by himself. His legs weren't ready. He was trying to reach the office, his old office. I helped him back, sat him down, and looked him right in the eye. You don't go in there anymore. Understand? He nodded, out of breath, but his eyes were sharp. After that, I changed the locks to the office and moved the files somewhere else. I couldn't risk him getting into anything. Especially not the letter from my mom. 2 days later, I noticed something strange. His phone, his old phone, the one we left in the kitchen drawer, was gone. I searched the whole house. Found it hidden in the bathroom cabinet under a pile of towels. He'd called Clara. Twice. I checked the voicemail. Nothing. Then I checked the call log again. There was a third number. One I didn't recognize. I Googled it. It was a lawyer's office. My chest went tight. I confronted him. What's going on? He didn't answer right away. Just looked at me. Then he said, I'm not stupid. No, I said. You're just helpless. His eyes went cold. I didn't flinch. Don't forget who took you in, I said. When everyone else gave up. He said nothing after that. Just looked away. That night, I went through every drawer, every file, every old box. I shredded anything that looked legal. Anything with names, numbers, account info. I didn't care what it was. I wasn't going to let him take this from me. He went quiet for days. Barely spoke. Barely ate. Then, one morning, I woke up and found a letter slipped under my bedroom door. It was handwritten, shaky, but clear. It read, You're not saving me. You're punishing me. I don't blame you. But don't pretend you're better than me. I laughed when I read it. Not because it was funny, but because for the first time in my life, he actually saw me. That same week, Clara called again. She said someone from a law firm had reached out. They wanted to schedule a competency evaluation for my dad. I knew what that meant. He was trying to prove I was manipulating him. Trying to cut me out. So I made my next move. The morning of the evaluation, I gave him his meds as usual, but I added half a Xanax. Just enough to take the edge off. I told him it would help with his nerves. When the woman from the law firm came, he was groggy, slurring more than usual. Confused. She asked him basic questions: date, location, names of his sons. He got a few right. Missed most. She smiled politely, thanked me for my help, and left. That night, I brought him dinner and sat with him a while. "You made your choice a long time ago," I said. "Now I'm just giving you a place to land." He looked at me, but didn't answer. I got up to leave. He said, quietly, "You're doing all this for revenge." I turned around. "No," I said. Revenge would have been walking out of that hospital and never coming back. This is justice. It all started to unravel the day I got a letter from the county clerk's office. A routine audit, it said. They were reviewing elder care arrangements. Random checks. Standard stuff. But I knew better. Someone had reported me. I checked the cameras I'd hidden around the house, mostly for my own protection, in case things ever got ugly. But I found nothing useful. He wasn't strong enough to reach them. And yet, somehow, someone knew what I was doing. Or thought they knew. Then I remembered the nurse from 2 weeks ago, the home visit after his therapy session. She'd asked a lot of questions. Friendly at the time. I'd brushed them off. Too many questions. So I called Clara. "I need you to shut this down," I said. She sounded surprised. "What's going on?" "Your husband," I snapped, "is playing games again." She laughed, soft and bitter. "Welcome to the club." I pressed. She didn't give anything up. But she knew more than she was saying. I could feel it. 3 days later, I got a visit. A social worker. Unannounced. She asked to speak with my father privately. I didn't want to let her. I said he wasn't up for visitors. She said I didn't have a choice. So I let her in. I listened from the hallway. Couldn't hear much. Just his voice, soft and slow. He sounded tired. Scared. But clear. When she left, she handed me a card and said, "We'll be in touch." I barely slept that night. The next morning, he was waiting for me in the kitchen. Sitting at the table, dressed, hands folded. "You crossed a line," he said. "You've been a line," I said. "Your whole life. You want me to suffer," he said. "You think that will fix what I broke?" "No," I said. "I just wanted you to see it. To feel it." "Well," he said. "I do." And then he stood. Without help. No walker. He took 3 solid steps toward me. No shaking. No swaying. My stomach flipped. "How long?" I asked. "Long enough," he said. He pulled a phone out of his robe pocket. "Not the old one. A new one. Clara got me a burner," he said. "Months ago." My mouth went dry. "I wanted to see how far you'd go," he said. "Now I know." I stepped forward, but he raised his hand. "Don't bother," he said. "The lawyers have everything they need. You moved money. Took power of attorney under false pretenses. Gave me medication I didn't need. There's video. Voice memos. Letters. You let me take care of you for 5 months just to set me up?" I said. He smiled. What better way to teach a lesson? I couldn't believe it. I had played him. Or so I thought. But he had been playing me all along. He leaned forward. "Better luck next lifetime," he whispered. I snapped. I grabbed the burner phone and threw it against the wall. I screamed. I called him every name I'd ever swallowed for 30 years. I told him he was a coward, a failure, a shell of a father. I told him I hoped he choked on his own pride. Then I left. The investigation moved fast. Within weeks, I was charged. Financial exploitation. Medical neglect. Fraud. Not jail time. But close. I lost my license. I lost my job. My small counseling practice was shut down. My real name was tied to the charges forever. Tyler and Drew cleaned up the mess. Clara moved back in. My father gave one interview to a local news station. A puff piece. Surviving abuse by someone you love. He looked frail. Innocent. He even cried on camera. They called him brave. It's been 8 months since then. I live in a small apartment outside Macon now. I work nights, answering phones for a 24-hour vet clinic. No friends. No visits. Just time. And I think about him. About what he did. About what I did. About the war we fought in silence. 2 people too broken to stop fighting. A daughter desperate to be seen. A father who waited too long. I wanted justice. He wanted revenge. We both got what we wanted. And neither of us won.